Extreme Rules is 11 days away, and we have not new matches, but updates to some matches, so we'll get to those right now. First off, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships is now a triple threat match as the Planet's champions, Captain Planet himself, Daniel Bryan and Rowan, defend against the New Day's Xavier Woods and Big E and Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery, of course, winning a match against the unlikely team of Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens last night on SmackDown to get this opportunity. And it's an interesting match for sure. Of course, Bryan and Rowan don't have to be affected in a decision to lose their titles. So, for example, Big E could pin Otis Dojovic, or Tucker Knight could pin Xavier Woods, and by proxy of that, Bryan and Rowan would lose the titles without being even pinned or submitted or affected in the decision at all. They would lose their titles that way. I really don't know what they'll do here, because any one of these teams I could see as the tag team champions. Any of these teams could right now be the tag team champions, and I would not be mad or anything like that at all, because the tag team division in SmackDown has been better and better every year. Some months better than others, but nonetheless, it's been a great tag team division for SmackDown ever since they've been introduced a few years ago. I really don't know, because Heavy Machinery had their shot and they lost last month at the last show at Stomping Ground. So I really don't know what they'll do here. I will pick Bryan and Rowan to retain just because they need to hold it for a while. I could say maybe until Survivor Series they lose it or something. If Survivor Series is still unless Survivor Series is the brand versus brand thing, even though the wild card rule exists and there's not really a need for brands because anyone can be a wild card and anyone can by proxy go for the 24/7 title and compete on any show at any time. So the brands are basically meaningless at this point. So I would say they would hold it till Survivor Series if that was the case. But I would not be surprised if any of the other teams won the match, became the new champions. I just feel that Bryan and Rowan need to hold it for a long time, especially with Rowan, so he can keep improving like he has been. And he's been incredible already, but it's just, being with Bryan, having that experience as a partner could help him in the long run. Next up, a winner-take-all Extreme Rules mixed tag team match. As the Raw Women's Champion, the man, Becky Lynch, and the Universal Champion, Seth Rollins, face Baron Corbin and the woman, Lacey Evans. Now, I was honestly confused about this because with it being an Extreme Rules match, the mixed rules basically are null and void. But since we saw last couple nights ago on Raw, due to Maria Kanellis being pregnant, could not be in the match, the man locked into the armor on Mike Kanellis and picked up the win that way. So if that's what's going to happen at Extreme Rules, with it being an Extreme Rules match, meaning anything goes, the mixed tag team rules are null and void in my opinion, unless they specifically note something that the rules that the men have to face the men and the women have to face the women. With it being an Extreme Rules match, and how WWE have towed the line of intergender wrestling over the past couple years with this PG era or wild card era or whatever you want to call it, they've been very not sensitive, but they've been very lenient about what can and what will happen and what won't happen. That's the only problem I have with this match, because if you use the mixed max challenge rules, this wouldn't happen. This wouldn't, except for like a couple seconds of like whoever attacking a guy and no retaliation at all. Especially with domestic abuse and what we know about now with people. It's a very fine line. And even talking about it is a very fine line on what they can and can't do. But I will pick, again, Rollins and Becky to retain, because as much as I would like Lacey Evans to be the women's champion, that would mean by proxy Corbin becomes Universal Champion. And we could not have that happen. As good as he is, as as improved as he has, I just don't see him being a world champion. And some people don't even count the Universal Championship as a world title. You know, it's like it's its own title, you know. But that's another story for another time. But I just don't see Corbin as a world champion. If it was going to happen, it would have happened when he had Money in the Bank. It's that simple, but I just don't see it happening. And finally, The Undertaker and Roman Reigns faces the best in the world, Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, in a no-holds-barred match. So much like the last match, anything goes. No disqualifications, no countouts. Falls should count anywhere, but they'll specify that when the match actually happens. But normally, falls count anywhere. No disqualifications. The ropes don't do anything, you know, so you can't escape with the ropes or anything like that. Could be tornado as far as we know, meaning all four can be in the same ring at the same time. And, you know, of course, standard pinfall submission wins the match. I really don't know what they'll do here. I will pick The Undertaker and Roman just because it's Roman and because that's what they do with these kind of matches. I would not be surprised if Drew McIntyre got an upset win over The Undertaker. I would not be surprised with that at all. But just because it's Roman and just because how they use Roman, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. And with that being said, Extreme Rules is 11 days away. If there's any changes to the card, much like this week, we will let you know.